The news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. One of the latest reports of the Inter-American Development Bank has projected that for 2022, Guyana's oil and gas resources will account for almost 60% of GDP, clearly outstripping the contributions of the other traditional sectors, such as rice, sugar, bauxite, timber, and gold. Taking this level of domination into account, along with the heightened cost of living pressures, former Finance Minister Winston Jordan said the Dutch disease phenomenon is already in Guyana. The Dutch disease is a concept that describes an economic phenomenon where the rapid development of one sector of the economy leads to a decline in growth of other sectors. And despite taking an $11.6 million loan from the IDB back in 2018 to strengthen the nation's governance framework for the oil sector, several objectives were not achieved, or in cases where they were, are no longer being utilized by the current administration. According to an IDB report on the performance of the loan, it was noted that a key goal for the bank was the creation of a development plan for Guyana's oil and gas sector. Given Guyana's inexperience in handling such a massive and highly technical sector, that plan was intended to outline the steps ought to be taken to build up institutional capacity. The plan was also intended to guide the country on all experts it needed, along with demarcating how and in what fields Guyana should start training for its people to be in the driver's seat of managing the industry. Meanwhile, leader of the opposition Aubrey Norton is confident that the $44.7 billion approved in the National Assembly on Monday will aid in the continued corrupt practices of the incumbent PPPC government. In an opposition press conference on Tuesday, he justified the decision by his side of the House to abstain from the sitting, noting among his reasons that it was important to send a clear message to the administration that it will not accept the quote-unquote illegal suspension of its 8 MPs. Norton said that before publicly announcing the boycott of the day's proceedings at the rally held on August 2nd last, the joint opposition convened a meeting where it was decided that there was no point of attending the sitting and that they would get the information they need outside the confines of the Parliament building. And moving on, while Vice President Bharat Jagdeo is on record signaling his intent to reclaim prime state lands that were leased to an individual to start up a coconut farm on the west bank of Demerara, Norton has challenged him to do the same when it comes to the thousands of acres of lands that were given to his Chinese friend and businessman Xu Zhirong. Jagdeo told hundreds of residents gathered there that the government is gearing to take back 5,000 acres of state lands on the West Bank, including a 700-acre plot at Wales, which is currently in the possession of a private coconut company. To this end, Norton reasoned, and I quote, that Vice President Jagdeo, while being accused of bribery and corruption and of presiding over the doling out of Guyana's lands to the PPP elite family and friends, has the temerity to speak about taking back lands from a respectable Guyanese professional. And 22-year-old Vanessa Anderson, a mother of 3 of Beefield Dam Sophia Georgetown, was on Monday night killed reportedly over a feud that resulted from her being quote-unquote snitch. The young mother and the two sisters were neighbors who had an ongoing feud. The sisters had accused the young mother of calling the police to search their home. According to police, on Monday night, Anderson was in front of her yard when she was approached by the two suspects and an argument ensued. It was stated that during the argument, the 20-year-old suspect collected a knife from her 29-year-old sister and stabbed the young mother twice, one to her upper left back and the other to the left shoulder. And just before we head to a short break, let's tell you that a pandit of Canefield, East Kanji Berbice, who was also employed as a pump operator at the Rose Hall Estate pump station, has confessed to killing his co-worker. A 59-year-old watchman, Regional Commander Bhutnarai Prasad, said that the suspect confessed while being interrogated by ranks on Tuesday. The pandit confessed to strangling pump station watchman Andraj Indrapal, called Charles, over a misunderstanding that he did not detail. Indrapal's death was initially investigated as drowning after his body was pulled from the pump station canal on the morning of Friday, August 5th by estate workers. A post-mortem examination revealed that Indrapal died from strangulation. Police arrested the pandit subsequently. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and at 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We'll take a short break and return with your news.
This is GHK Lall inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
It seems like children have been home from school forever, and you've done baking, drawing, schoolwork, and played Ring of Roses about 100 times. We've all been under some strain lately, but let us embrace our children. They're under strain too. Let's show them more love, patience, and care. Let's help to build their resilience in these trying times. Not just today or tomorrow, but for the future. Their future. A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
Welcome back. Let's continue with the news. One day after the Ministry of Agriculture secured over $5.4 billion in supplementary funding from the National Assembly, it moved to ink over $610 million in contracts, and $426 million out of that amount is for the ailing Gaisuko. A total of 13 contracts, 6 of them related to Gaisuko, were on Tuesday signed at the Ministry's boardroom at Regent Street and Shiv Chandrapal Drive, Georgetown. And in other news, the allocation of funds sought by the PPPC in the National Assembly was progressing smoothly on Monday until the minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Indar, interrupted to question a $4 billion sum to GPL. In the financial paper circulated in the House, it could only be understood that the allocation was to service the electricity arrears to the power company. The funds were being requested by the Ministry of Finance. To this end, Indar asked that an explanation be given as to why the money is needed to pay arrears. Responding to the minister's query was his colleague, the minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh. And the Ministry of Health has received an additional $332.6 million, which was approved on Monday in the National Assembly, to assist with its plans to upgrade the national healthcare system. The sum forms part of the supplementary funding totaling $44.7 billion for the fiscal year 2022, which the National Assembly approved on Monday. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony explained that as part of the expenditure, moves will be made, among other things, to upgrade the healthcare system infrastructure through support from the US-based Mount Sinai Hospital. And a suspect currently at large for allegedly stabbing his wife, 25-year-old Cindy Ramchandar, to death on Monday, has reportedly confessed to one of her relatives that he had killed her because he was told she was seeing another man. Ramchandar was attacked and killed allegedly by the suspect, Suraj Ganpat, around 8 hours on Monday, while she was heading to her cousin's home at 47 Village, quarantine Berbice Region 6. And now we turn the pages of today's Kaieteur News to page 7, dedicated to being blunt. Just believe our nation is under siege with crime at every level, evolving daily into worrisome proportions. Anxiety has gripped the people of our land since it seems that the hands of those tasked with law enforcement are tied. Is it that our country will continue to spiral out of control? Is anarchy inevitable? While many believe that the remainder of their days will be plagued by attacks from barefaced predators, some seated in high office, we know better. The good book reminds us to keep a firm grip on fate and keep our guard up, for our present suffering will not last forever. Where we are weak, the just and almighty Creator is strong, and He's even now fighting for us. Just believe, for fate is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen yet. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Diana, join me on the Lall Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast at 11 a.m. The Lall Show only on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM.